Okay, the new meeting can start.
And Margot, this is Carol Martin. The recording secretary is leaving the meeting.
Thank you very much, Carol.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Kelly, I think you're muted.
I was trying to be so well behaved during the board meeting. Um, Anyway, it's good to see so many people on tonight. Welcome to the First Potomac Yard Homeowners Association Meet the Candidates Forum. This is an opportunity for candidates for the board to present information about themselves, their qualifications, their reasons for and interest in serving on the board. As a reminder, this forum is scheduled for 1 hour. Each candidate will have 3 to 5 minutes to present, going in alphabetical order, and then the homeowners will have an opportunity to ask questions of candidates. We would ask that all attendees remain muted when not speaking, and please be respectful at all times or we'll have to mute you. We want to make sure that this is a cordial, positive meeting. We also request that all participants appear on camera when speaking. As Clea said, this candidates forum is being recorded and will be posted to the website by the end of the week. The candidate presentations will run 7:35 to 7:55, depending upon the time, but we ask that each of them only take 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll have resident questions until 8:25 p.m. Because we have a high number of attendees, I'm going to ask that everyone limit themselves to one question. I'll do my best to take them in order. You can raise your hand and I will be scribbling furiously which hands I see first. I will also break at some point for folks on the phone in case they have questions as well. If we have time after the first round of questions, you're welcome to ask a second or subsequent question. Just a reminder that the electronic voting via association begins on October 14th and will conclude on November 12th or November 14th at 12 noon. So the polls close before the annual meeting. So please make sure that you vote before the annual meeting starts. That way everything can be tabulated. And candidates seeking election to the board are encouraged to attend the annual meeting. So as was already stated, 4 candidates have filed to run for the 2 open seats on the Potomac Yard HOA board: Patrick Doherty, Michael Franken, Nicholas Panos, and Darliata Tyler Osborne. The biographies went out as part of the package, so hopefully you've received those. And now I'm going to ask the candidates to do their 3 to 5 minute presentation, starting with Patrick Doherty. Patrick, are you on?
Hi, everybody. My name's Patrick Doherty. I'm a candidate for the PYHOA board. That's why we're here tonight. My wife, Sarah, and I moved into the very first building here on Main Line Boulevard, south of Monroe, just past the Route 1 overpass here in December of 2013. And we have an amazing group of neighbors down here. I'm shocked to realize that it's been almost 10 years since we moved here to Alexandria. We've loved living here and feel fortunate every day to live in this community with great neighbors. Professionally, I'm the chief strategy officer and the head of software delivery, a software company up in Roslyn, in Arlington. I've been in software development and consulting for 25 years. In the community here, I've been a member of the volunteer landscape committee for the last 5 years. I personally learned a lot about plants, a lot more than I'd ever known, and really kind of appreciate the volunteerism and the hard work that goes into all the work behind the landscaping. The reason I'm running for board is because I want to support our community and our shared interests in the success of the HOA. 3 big factors motivated me to get involved in this election. First, I'm very in favor of responsible and thoughtful community investment and input to support the long-term landscaping. It's an interest. You know, as you may know, the some of the landscaping complexities over the last couple of years with the final handover of the community from Pulte, all the work that goes into making sure that that stuff happens. It's all relatively complex, but we're mostly through those milestones, soon to be through those milestones. And I'm for a long-term landscaping plan for the community to support home values and the desirability of our community. Second, I support the professional management of the association for typical HOA activities like maintaining the community's irrigation system, clearing sidewalks when it snows, removing moss from brick sidewalks so that people don't slip, the repainting of mailboxes when they need it, those sorts of things. I don't know if everybody knows what a complex community we live in. There are 200 plus townhomes and 500 plus condos in 4 different condo associations across this very large infill development inside the Beltway. We all pay $75 per month into this association, whether we're condo owners or townhome owners, and we all have an interest in ensuring that it's a successful HOA. Third, I'm running on civility and respect. I think it's important to support the volunteer neighbors in our community and treat each other with respect and kindness and civility, and to extend all of that to our community volunteers on the committees, our volunteer board, and the community staff, the paid staff. Specifically, I support the recent code of conduct that the board passed 4-1. We need and must have professional and mundane board meetings going forward. I've been taken aback by some of the behavior in these public meetings, and some of you have seen some of that tonight, I imagine. Just in summary, it's been great meeting new neighbors through this process. It's inspirational to see that we have a lot of common values and we're motivated to be kind and respectful of each other, and to hear opinions and creative input as we work through all the final handover from the developer. I appreciate all the neighborliness of those I've been able to meet recently. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for showing up for this candidate forum. I think it's an investment of your time and it shows a lot of care for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Michael Franken, are you here and available to speak?
I am happy to. And thank you so much for putting this on, and thank you, Clea, for your leadership on the board, and everyone for dialing in on this. This is an important thing in the community. My name is Michael Franken. My wife and 2 kids and I moved in, well, she bought the house in February of 2012 when I was deployed. I served in the Navy for 39 years. I was born and raised in rural Iowa, grew up in a very farm situation, worked construction, slaughterhouses as a machinist, as a welder growing up, worked my way through college and got a scholarship, degrees in engineering and physics and business, finance, and international affairs. Was a chief of legislative affairs for the department, and two other jobs in legislative affairs, a lot of years deployed on ships and also as a land commander. Fed big staffs up to 6,000, budgets in the billions and the like, but I'm very happy to be a homeowner. And I'm proud to say just a homeowner in the community that wants the best for the community. I look forward to working for you. I'm remarkably commonsensical, also analytical, and a high degree of humanist. I was instilled with a high regard for flora and fauna, trees and the like from my rural upbringing. And I suggest that I will do all of that and more to ensure our community is even better than it is today when my time is up as a board member. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Nicholas, Panos, are you here and available to speak? Can't hear you, Nicholas. Can you
hear me now?
Yes.
Hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Nicholas Panos. I bought a townhome in 2016. I reside there with my wife, who's a Vietnamese immigrant. She was in Saigon when Vietnam fell. Took her 10 years to get here legally via Catholic Charities. And we believe in the 10 Commandments, principally, thou shalt not steal. So I'm running for the board because I'm very disappointed in some of the decision-making skills of the current board members. I have patiently waited more than a year through at least 6 letters that never received an official written response about my concerns relating to the spending of association money when it was unauthorized under our governing instruments as well as state law. I have a lot of experience in homeowner associations. I was an HOA president for 12 years. It's not a job that I actually sought, but because I have a law degree and an MBA from a prestigious university. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What was that interruption?
Donna.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me? Kelly?
Now we can hear you. We couldn't hear the last little bit of your statement.
Okay, well, I have an MBA in finance. I come from a family where we have actually 9 properties, 7 of which are in HOAs, 2 of which have the master HOA and the base HOA. Not working?
You're working.
Okay, it was spooling. I don't know if this technological connection is going to work for me because I'm traveling, and I really didn't want to appear tonight because of the remoteness of my location. So I'm going to emphasize that my value proposition is that I've been able to make a lot of money with my family on investments. I follow the law. I have a grandfather who was chief of police in Chappaqua, New York for about 20 years, and he was a World War II veteran. I have a dad whose business got acquired by Morgan Stanley for 7 figures. So I think it's in my DNA that I know how to run an organization and increase values. All of my expenses in Potomac Yard, even the dues, are paid for with passive investment income. As a professional with an attorney license, I have a lot to lose by being on a board. Right? It's a high-risk proposition for me, yet I'm willing to donate the legal skills and save the HOA all this money that they're spending on legal fees because of my expertise. So I think that I've met neighbors who have insisted that due to the absence of the buildings in the community, there's no community center, there's no fitness center, there is no real capital improvements that have to be made other than the ones that the city ordained for us, that they are concerned about the amount that's being collected, especially with respect to landscaping if we are not responsible for landscaping on certain property. The townhomes are owned in fee simple. I don't see an easement that lets the HOA get on to private property and remove plantings, which has happened. So that's something that has to be explored legally. Could be trespassing. But there is no legal obligation for the HOA to do any landscaping on condominium property. If the HOA decided to stop doing landscaping on HOA property and on the condominium property and those condominium owners sued, they would have no basis upon which to sue. They can't point to anything in our governing instrument that we would be violating because there is no provision. So therefore, we're being charged too much. We can have a collaborative solution. We can have multiple condominium associations and the HOA sign on to a landscaping agreement and the landscaping can continue, but not with the HOA underwriting the entire bill.
Okay. Anything else, Nicholas? You're coming through loud and clearly, by the way, and we can see you well.
Okay. I know I have a lot more to say, but due to the technological interruption, I don't want to take time away from the other candidate. I'm sure I'll get a chance to speak more.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Darliata Tyler Osborne.
Hello, I'm Darlita Tyler Osborne, and I am humbled to be here with all of you. Thank you so much, Shelley, and thank you to all of the board members giving me a platform to run for candidacy. I am a Washingtonian. I have been here all my life, but I've lived in Alexandria in the Fraser apartment building for 7 years, but I'm brand new as a new Dillon resident. And I'm very humbled, and I am open to becoming a new board member, one, for advocacy, two, for partnership with all of not only the townhomes and also the condo association, but all of the residents within our area in the Potomac Yard area. And I am just looking to build community. I'm looking to continue to be just a good human and understand all of the inner workings of the board, and to also to be a strong advocate for every single resident within the community. And it is my hope that I could be a pillar for everyone. So thank you so much for giving me a platform.
Thank you, Darlita, and forgive me for mispronouncing
No
your name.
worries, no worries, no worries.
Okay, we are now going to open it to questions. I can't see, there are so many of you that I can't see you all on one screen, so I will do my best. But if you could raise your hand if you have a question. And I see Frank, and I see the Jacksons. So Frank, you're up first, then the Jacksons, and I'll be trolling for more hands.
I just wanted to start off. This question is for Mr. Panos. Is it true that you are part of the suing of the HOA?
The doing or the undoing?
Are you suing the HOA?
Okay, yes, I am.
Do you think it's appropriate?
Writing, well,
do you think it's appropriate to run for the board?
I'm protecting my interests, and it's not prohibited. And yes, I think that I could save you a lot of money, Frank, and I can increase the value of your property. It was the last resort, just like surgery is the last resort. You never want to do it if there's a therapeutic remedy first. But I had really no choice. Time is running out.
We would save a lot of money if you weren't suing the HOA. I can tell you that much. That's pretty clean.
Well, why don't we meet? And I can walk you through my evidence and my story, and you can reevaluate your opinion, because you don't have the same information as me, Frank.
May be the case, but I want to at least let the people on this forum know that hypothetically you could be part of the problem of us losing funds in raising costs.
Oh, well, Frank, the amount of money that's budgeted is too low. They should actually budget $300,000 if they want to contest the litigation, because Frank Capone will follow me as well as another neighbor. So we're going to share information. We're going to bankrupt the association until there is a solution. They're engaged in illegal conduct. They're not authorized to spend the money that they spent. My complaint that's publicly available can be read. You can see all the charges that exist for which we are not legally responsible. So I'm not making the equivalent of a charitable contribution to my HOA. It is a non-stock corporation. It is regulated activity. It's not the parent-teacher organization, and it's not community building. If you want to be engaged in community building, reinstitute the Civic Association. But this HOA is a non-stock corporation. It's regulated at the state level. And if you're engaged in willful misconduct, wait a minute, let me just finish this one thought, please, Frank. Yeah. The state of Virginia put in writing, it's in the Non-Stock Corporation Act, that if the board of directors engage in willful misconduct or they criminally disobey the law, they're not shielded by their participation as a volunteer. They can be personally liable. It says it twice in that act.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for your time. I feel like most people here would probably think that you are the problem. So, okay, thanks.
All right, thanks. Jacksons are up next, then Christine, and then Jason.
Hey, Shelley, how are you doing this evening?
Doing well.
All right. If I may be so bold, I have a question that I'd like all four candidates to answer, and that is, what would be your personal approach to addressing a substantive disagreement with your fellow board members if you become a member of the board?
Okay, let's take it in alphabetical order.
I think that's me, Doherty, Patrick Doherty here. I've been in software development for 25 years, and just through my professional capacity, there's always a bunch of conflict, lots of ideas about how to build things. how to maintain things, how to budget for things. There's always conflict. I'm a senior executive at this software company that I work for, and it's all kind of managing different ideas. But the professional way to do that is to discuss those ideas, do good analysis against those ideas, and treat each other with respect so that we all sound heard and work towards a common solution. It's the recipe for success, really, like listening to each other, being kind to each other, and having civility and respect, even when you disagree. I've been in some of these meetings, and this is, we all see it, right? When we come to these public meetings, it gets a little out of hand. And I'm primarily running to support those who support civility and respect in these meetings. Thanks.
Thanks, Patrick. Michael?
Well, I guess I should have said I'm the youngest of 9 kids, 6 of whom are sisters, immediately stacked atop of me, and I got along with all of them growing up. In one bathroom of the house. It began with that, I believe, through living on a ship where you got to get along with people. You just have to get along. And we've got enough hate and dissension in this world. In a board situation, like you do with any kind of professional situation, you hear each other's well-reasoned arguments. We shouldn't say arguments, they're positions. And arguments and fighting, let's leave that for other things. Let's leave that for something other than neighbors. For neighbors, you talk, you have a discussion, and then you vote, and you abide by the vote, you salute smartly, and you move on. And you make do with the decision as best you can. End of discussion. You don't go litigious, you don't do any of that nonsense. You move on and do what's good for the greatest number with a well-reasoned, a humanistic approach to those who are in most need. That's it.
Thanks, Michael. Nicholas?
Hi. Well, Stephen Covey was a Harvard Business School graduate, and I know you have the MBA, Shelley, so you probably have heard of him, and he had a store in D.C., 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So his mantra is to first seek to understand and then seek to be understood. So for 1 year, I have tried to understand the board's decision-making ability. The answers I've received are, well, it's a service we provided anyway, like plowing the sidewalks, to which candidate Doherty alluded. Well, a lot of the sidewalks are owned by the city. We have no legal obligation to plow the sidewalks or remove moss from them. When I hear about doing what's best for most people, actually that was offered as a rationale as well for our spending. Again, that's not the legal standard. The legal standard is you can be charged an assessment which legally is treated as an encumbrance on your home if it involves compliance with law, if it involves the use, maintenance of the use of a common area, which is a defined term, or it's expressly authorized in the declaration. Those are the grounds upon which a levy can be placed upon homes. So if all of the homeowners right now who support me decided not to pay their HOA fee and the HOA wanted to recover, they would only get a fraction of the amount because we're being charged for expenses that are not authorized. So I respectfully disagree with the other 2 candidates who offered this peaceable approach and this amorphous feel-good answer. The very first job of the director is to know what the requirements are. It's regulated activity. The directors have very little discretion, and they owe us a fiduciary duty, Ms. Murphy, to read the organizational documents, which they haven't done, I can attest after a year. They've outsourced it to lawyers. That's why we have big legal bills. And going back to Frank's question earlier, they don't have to defend the lawsuit. They could just voluntarily give me the information that I requested through their attorney. Not only will they not give me that information, they have now foreclosed Frank Capone, who is a director, from reviewing the invoices.
Okay.
So he doesn't have access to the invoices anymore.
So Nicholas, we're really talking about how to handle potential discord among the board members. So I appreciate your position, and I'm going to move on to Darlita.
Thank you so much, Shelley, and that's a great question. I have over 15 years as a pharmaceutical sales strategic manager. And so I've worked on teams, I've worked within myself in my own capacity. And I agree, active listening is the key, and also seeking common ground. So trying to handle those simultaneously is the key. And yes, being just a good human to be able to develop relationships, and then also to be able to come to a common ground. So I would definitely seek to do that within the board. And also I want to hear what the citizens have to say and be open to everything in full. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Christine, then Jason, then Valerie and Joe, then Dylan.
Hi, thank you so much, Shelley. I want to start off by first thanking all of the candidates that are running for the board. I know that this is a volunteer job and it takes up a lot of time, especially with some of the shenanigans that we're dealing with. So I know that only 2 of the 3 qualified candidates are going to get chosen, and I do encourage the 3rd one to run again, so we don't end up in the situation that, we are currently in with an unfit board member. So I want to start by asking all the candidates how you've been involved in the Potomac Yard community since you've moved here.
Okay, Patrick, you're up.
Thanks, Shelley. Patrick Doherty, PYHOA board candidate. I got involved with the landscape committee about 5 years ago, mostly out of curiosity. I'm one of the condo owners. Part of our fee goes to landscape payments. All the condo owners, maybe people don't realize this, we all pay $75 into the Master HOA Association, which the townhome owners pay into. And so I was sort of curious about, plants, and especially in this new community. I wanted to learn a bit about that, and I wanted to meet some of my neighbors who I really like. The landscape committee had a small number of folks for a little while. It got bigger over the last year or two. Lots of great people who are interested in the community and interested in like the best outcomes for the community. I do that mostly. I also just socialize with my neighbors. I see a lot of them on the call here. Sarah and I, my wife Sarah and I, are just always thrilled and feel very grateful all the time about what great neighbors we have. It's really pretty. Alexandria in itself is a very special place. Potomac Yard is a very special place. We share a lot of the same values, and that's how I'm involved with the community, I guess. Neighbors and landscaping committee.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Michael?
I moved, my wife and I moved 27 times, I guess, in my career. I moved in and out of Potomac Yard here 3 times. I'm known as Jordan's husband because she's the rock. She's the one who organizes and does a lot of things in the community. We do as a family Sunday morning garbage pickups along the railroad tracks, etc. Early on, because I did construction as a young person, I got a lot of sense. Architecture is a hobby of mine. I went around with families as they were buying houses, and at their behest would walk through and show them where to put plug-ins, little accoutrements in houses to make them better. But as an organized member of the community, I have not been participant in community-wide events other than the runs and the athletic stuff and Easter parties and stuff, the things that my wife organizes and adopts me as a loyal servant to her needs. So that's what I do for the community. Thank you much.
Thanks, Michael. Nicholas?
Hi. I went to the board meeting that led to the transition from Pulte Homes to the homeowners, and I noticed that there weren't many people in attendance, and the board expansion from 3 to 5 was probably illegal. So we're all running for seats, Mr. Franken, Mr. Doherty, that probably don't exist. Legally, we only have 3 board seats. So I've done research on that topic. I've also gone ahead and I befriended someone who was elected that night, and I walked the neighborhood and I made a list of all of the infrastructure defects because I had success dealing with my former builder who was on bond, and they had to basically fix all of the infrastructure defects that they created. This is a declarant in our organizational documents. So I was able to get probably over $100,000 worth of repairs done on gutters and sidewalks in my immediate area, and also help Mr. Ben, who is then a director, go ahead and remedy other situations with the city. And I also contacted the city directly to ensure that the work was done in a timely way. Before, there was a mistake that could have been committed whereby the city released this bond, and then we would never be able to really proceed against Pulte without suing them. The other thing that I've done is do a lot of research for the director who's being disparaged, Frank Capone, who has been heroic in eliminating expenses that the HOA was paying, like we were paying for office space, not a legal requirement. We were paying for office furniture, not a legal requirement. We were paying for renter's insurance, not a legal requirement. We were paying for Comcast for the property manager, not a legal requirement. We were also, I think, being charged an excess amount. No, well, Margot, if you make less than $129,000, you're going to make less than Margot last year. And I'm not attacking Margot. I didn't say that. What I was saying is that there were all these benefits that were being offered to the property manager that were not authorized. So I have contributed to the community in part by helping support Frank's initiative, which led to the elimination of an expense that wasn't warranted. That's another major contribution. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Nicholas. Darlita.
Okay.
Yes. Hi. So I am a recent graduate of the City of Alexandria Code Courts Academy. I am a member of the Top Ladies of Distinction of Alexandria, which does a lot of advocacy work in and out of Alexandria, giving back, doing landscaping. We do clothing drives, school drives. I'm also a member of the Alfred Street Baptist Church. I've been a member for 5 years, and we also do community outreach and organization. One is to the local homeless shelters. We also do a lot of outreach in regards to college students, HBCU outreach. And so it is just a pleasure to be now a member of the Alexandria community. When I introduced myself, I told you I was a Washingtonian, but it's just really been a pleasure to have moved back here after my college graduation and become a Alexandrian and a member of the community. And it is my hope that I continue to be a pillar of the community and just have more outreach and to be a beacon for every resident in the Alexandria community. Thank you.
Thanks, Darlita. Jason, you're up next, and Dylan has yielded back his time. His question got answered.
Thanks, Shelley. I appreciate it. I just would like to hear from the candidates what they think the core functions of the HOA are. I've heard a lot about turning landscaping back over to homeowners and not spending any dollars, but what are the 2 or 3 or 4 things that you as a candidate think the HOA, master HOA, should be doing with our resources for the community?
Okay, Patrick, you're up.
Great. Thanks, Jason. The primary job, I think, of the HOA is to manage HOA typical activities. This sounds like a joke, but in Nick Panis's lawsuit, he opposes the painting of the mailboxes in the community, the repainting of the mailboxes. Our mailbox down here that town homeowners and condo owners share was painted 10 years ago, when we moved in. The cleaning of the shoveling of snow from sidewalks, the removal of moss, slippery moss from sidewalks, when that gets overgrown, typical safety and, management activities. The irrigation system, for some reason, is a contentious issue in some of the public board meetings. I don't know why we should not pay for and maintain the irrigation system that keeps our plants and trees alive, for example. There's a lot of vendor management associated with this very large community. We have more than 700 homes 200-ish of them are townhomes, and 500 plus of them are condos. And it's all integrated, as you all know, right? Like we all live here. It's not simply divided and individually managed. It's part of this planned community. It's a planned community. It was the largest infill development inside the Beltway when it was being built. And so that's complex, you know. There's lots of risk management issues to deal with, of course, you know, insurance, you know, following up with vendors, all that sort of stuff require professional HOA management. And, you know, not kind of the drama show that gets put on most of the time. You know, that's what I think are the core responsibilities. I would really like to take the temperature down in some of these meetings. It's not a good use of anybody's time. And it's, you know, it's frankly like, you know, it makes your blood pressure go up. And I don't think we have to do that with neighbors. It can be a non-contentious and straightforward set of management activities. Thanks.
Thanks, Patrick. Michael?
I appreciate those well-reasoned comments from Patrick. I think my biggest joy is to listen to the fellow homeowners in the community, reason out their concerns, ensure the legality, expand this community. I don't think we ought to stand by just what the city standard is for an area like this. I think we want to be better than the city standard. I think we want this to be the nicest neighborhood around. We have the opportunity to do that. We've got new homes. We've got a nice setting, fabulous location. Let's do more than what the city says is their responsibility. This is our opportunity to make this and to boost our property values accordingly, and to ensure that we don't have the long-term negative implications of neglect in the community. And that is a cavity that has a tendency to expand, and I don't think any of us want that. So let's gel together, do what's legal and what's commonsensical, and move forward. And I will be a listening ear to the fellow citizens in this community. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Nicholas?
Jason, I object to the form of your question. I never said no spending on landscaping. Never said it. And one of the 10 commandments is thou shalt not bear false witness against another. You misrepresented anything I said. I actually love landscaping, and I've said it at meetings. I went to an undergraduate university principally because they are ranked as one of the top 5 college campuses in the U.S. Beautiful, bucolic campus in a valley. I also went to law school in Colorado. So I ski, I golf, I donate to the Nature Conservancy, and my wife is from Vietnam and cultivates basically a tropical forest in the property that she owns in a different location that coincidentally is managed by FSR. So I'm a little put off by the question. I have no opposition to landscaping or improving the values in terms of resale value in the community. And there are a lot of things that I could do, like regulate the posting of all these realtor signs everywhere that, again, there's free advertising. When does anyone ever pull off the street nowadays because they saw that sign? It looks like everyone's leaving the community with all the for sale signs. So I had a long history of regulating the realtors at my former property where I served. I also think that the number one job of the director is first to read the law and the organizational documents, create an itemized spreadsheet of exactly what the financial obligations are of the HOA. And it's not just me making that determination. It's the state of Virginia that actually specified that every single budget has to itemize the capital requirements and show how much money we have saved towards those goals. Well, I complained about that, and apparently it's going to be fixed in the next budget. So I was correct in my assessment. So that's the type of contribution that I've been making, but that's the obligation of every homeowner. It's not necessarily to listen to concerns. It's not a civic association. It is a non-stock corporation, and you have liability, potentially criminal liability, for making the wrong decision. So if Mr. Doherty wants to keep landscaping as usual, if all these landscaping replacements go in to condominium property that's scheduled for October 16th, you have criminal exposure. We don't own the land. There is no legal obligation. And if you're spending my money on that type of pet project, you're doing it willfully. It's willful misconduct. And if Pat wants to go ahead and continue as he represented, I'm going to sue him immediately once he approves one of those expenses.
Okay, thanks, Nicholas. Darlita?
Yeah, I think I agree to definitely be well versed in understanding the all of the documents for the HOA and to be well managed. I do agree with that, but I also think it's good to be an open advocate and to be sensible and to be an open ear and to also have safety for the community. And I think those are the core values of what a board member should have. Thank you.
Starlita. Okay, Valerie and Joe?
Thank you, Shelley. I have a question to all four candidates, and if everyone can just respond succinctly, I'll try to pose my questions so that they're yes, no questions, recognizing how much time we have. I'm trying to figure out, listening to the candidates. Well, first of all, thank you to everyone who is running. Kudos to you. I know I'm not, and I really appreciate the fact that you're interested to contribute to your time and your effort to the community. So I'm listening to the statements of the candidates, and I'm trying to glean what are the values of these people, because individual decisions, we have no idea what kind of questions will come up in the next, 1, 2, 3, 5 years. So really what we're voting for, or we will be voting for, is are the values of those individuals, because those values will likely drive their decision making when they are on the board. So with that, I kindly ask all of the candidates to answer 2 questions, and they are not HOA related. They're kind of world events. First of all, yes, no, do you believe that the United States should be supporting Ukraine in its efforts to stop the war? And 2, do you believe women have rights to make choices about their bodies, and do you support reproductive rights?
I'm alphabetical here, and simple answer, yes to both. I support both of those things, unquestioned.
Thank you.
Though I'm, not a foreign affairs expert, but I care about that. I care about those issues a lot.
Okay, Michael.
Hi, Valerie. I was just in the northern border of Romania by Ukraine, working these various issues in Ukraine this past week. And part of that visit also was a stop off in Italy to work at mitigation and augmentation measures nationwide for the security of developing countries on behalf of climate change. And regarding women, I believe women have the dominion over their bodies. I guess that's the end of it. Yeah.
Okay, Nicholas.
Hi. Well, I'm obviously very disturbed by the war in Ukraine that was instigated by Russia. I believe Putin's an assassin. He's also one of the wealthiest people in the world. So I think the support that we've offered is probably a good long-term investment for world peace. I get a little concerned about the accountability, and that shouldn't surprise you. But it's not as if I would vote against aid to Ukraine, but I would be voting for strict controls and oversight over how that money is spent if I were in a position to opine on it as a congressperson. As far as the reproductive rights issue, I think you probably raised that because you heard that I'm Catholic. So in addition to the 10 Commandments, the question that I always ask myself, which was impressed upon me during my years in a private Catholic high school in Massachusetts, was you ask yourself, what would Jesus do? So I don't think Jesus would always say, yeah, it's okay. So I'll just abstain is the safe answer. But, you put me in a difficult position because from my religious beliefs, I really can't say that. I believe in life after death. I also have two brothers I mentioned, one of whom tried 6 times to have children. It didn't work out, and he is the proud adoptive father of 2 Black children in a very white community that looks a lot like Potomac, Maryland. So my brother's an A-plus person. My parents have been married for more than 50 years. They're both still alive. My grandparents were alive for most of my life. I was the firstborn. They showered me with a lot of love and attention. They taught me the value of hard work. Those are the values that should really matter, Valerie. In fact, I have just had a number of professional successes at work, recovering over $100 million, and I can now readjust my schedule to take every other Friday off from work. So I'm going to be donating every other Friday to the HOA for the next year, regardless of whether I get elected. If I'm not elected, the hours will be spent on the lawsuit.
Thank you.
Every other Friday.
Nicholas. Darlita.
Valerie, thank you so much for the question. I absolutely support Ukraine. And as the only woman candidate here, I absolutely support us having control over our bodies. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you to all candidates for answering.
Okay, so I don't see any more hands. Is there anyone on the phone who hasn't been able to raise their hand? And if so, if you want to unmute and ask your question.
This is Frank McCullough, Jack. So it was mentioned that, I guess, Mr. Panos, you intend to remove the Dillon Association or Dillon Condominium from the HOA. What's the basis?
I would like to talk. Well, I would like to talk to them about whether or not they think that their participation is benefiting them. I think that they are being unfairly taxed, Frank. They paid for their own landscaping. Did you know that?
So did we
You
all.
probably didn't know that, but no, they paid for their own landscaping. The HOA, master HOA function, according to the existing 4 board members, not Frank Capone, is to cover the condominium landscaping, but we didn't pay for them. So right away, they didn't get a benefit. In addition, that land was originally owned by Pulte Homes, and you probably are aware they sold it to someone else. And the project was delayed because of COVID and other reasons. So I don't think that they're really getting a benefit, and I feel like they're being treated in a way where they're paying for a lot of excess expenses in our HOA to which they shouldn't be subject. And if they knew all the information that I have, they'd probably be pretty upset. So I would like to explore whether or not they'd be interested in seceding from our HOA.
I guess a follow-up is, do you intend to provide the information, facts that you claim you have that would sway everybody on this call and everybody in this HOA's minds to believe you when it comes to all the accusations you've put forth?
Well, Frank, you make it sound like I would put my law license on the line for baseless accusations. I would never do that. I mean, this initiative has been more than a year in the process. All of the information is available to you, Frank. It's all available to you. You can do a document request. You can look at the invoices. You can see that we're paying for resale inspections to the property manager. It's not a required obligation. We were paying for the office space. We're paying for landscaping on land that we don't own. You can go down to the city. You can look at all of the plot ownership of the entire Potomac Yard community. There is still land in the name of Pulte Home Corporation. That's not us. We're a Potomac Yard Homeowners Association, Inc. We are a different person. We don't have to maintain land that's owned by the city or owned by Pulte Homes or owned by Condo Association 1, 2, or Powhatan. We don't. We have no legal obligation to do that.
So the question is, I don't have time to do that work, but apparently you have already done that work. So would you be able to provide all this information for transparency, of course, to everybody? Because right now, I don't really care about your initiatives, and I imagine most people here probably don't as well. You're wasting money. If you state that your intention is to
I'm not. Let me finish.
Let me finish.
Okay.
if you state in this meeting that your intention is to bankrupt this HOA, nobody in their right mind is going to vote for you. And I would love for you to make transparent the claims that you claim that we are all sheep in this sheeple world following an HOA that's criminally acting. You get my gist?
Frank, you have all of the information that you
Nobody
want.
has
You can
information
go
that you're
ahead.
talking about. Listen to yourself.
So Frank, I am going into court. I mean, I already have a complaint that's 50 pages long. Instead of settling, what they did is escalate the complaint. So now I can go above $5,000. So I'm adding defamation because there was a false set of meeting minutes circulated. There also have been incorrect budgets that have been sent out in violation of Virginia Code 55.1/1826, where they have to itemize the capital reserves. So yes, it's going to be an expensive undertaking for the HOA. They can minimize the damage right now by giving me the records that they allegedly obtained on title searches. They can give me that. They can voluntarily hand it over. They won't do it. They can give Frank Capone access again to the portal so he can review the invoices and let me know of any aberrations. Right? Because all of these people have fiduciary duties, Frank. They need oversight.
Okay, I think we've talked through this issue. If that's all right with you, Frank, I'd like to move on. I see that Adele has raised her hand.
Hi, this is Shane. I just want to clarify one thing. Nicholas, did you just say you're going to benefit personally in a financial way because of the lawsuit, or potentially could, that you're going to make money and take money from us through the HOA?
Frank Capone too.
Adele, I didn't say any of that. I don't know where you're getting that from.
Well, you just said you were able to raise the amount of money you would receive because it moved up in a court. So I just want to be clear that you. Excuse me, I am speaking.
Yes, okay.
Stop interrupting. You claim to be a moral, biblical man, so knock it off.
Mm-hmm. I can't see you, so I'm sorry. I didn't know you were still speaking. It was accidental.
You are going to benefit and profit off of all of us through your lawsuit if you are successful. Yes or no? Yes or no?
I would say no.
Straightforward answer.
No. The answer is no. I'm recovering.
You're not going to make any money. And if you were to make money, are you going to commit to give it back to the HOA?
No, I'm recovering money that's mine.
What money that's
my
yours?
property was taken from me unlawfully, Adele. And my name was tarnished. My name was tarnished with a false set of meeting minutes.
So I don't know that we're going to get to the bottom of this tonight. Shane, if you feel like you've asked your question, and I think Nicholas, if you feel like you've answered it, I'd like to move on. We are at 8:32, which is the end of our time. Does anybody who hasn't had the chance to speak yet have one more question before we close it down? Okay, hearing none, I want to thank the candidates for their time and engagement this evening. I want to thank what on my computer screen is 3 pages of residents who have been here since before this forum started to listen to the candidates and to be engaged and ask questions. This is being recorded. It will be out, Margot said, probably by Thursday, but certainly by the end of the week. I would ask that you all do everything you can to engage with your neighbors, because we have an election coming up. Voting begins on October 14th and it will conclude November 14th at 12 noon. So more information will be forthcoming about the how we all vote electronically. And I just want to thank you all so much for your participation. I'm going to turn it back to Margot or whomever if there's anything else we need to do to close out this portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Shelley, for facilitating.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Shelley. No, this is just a public forum. There were no minutes taken, although we are going to take the recording and we're happy to share that. to any of you who reach out. We'll make that public for you too on the portal once I get it organized and done. But yep, we're all good. Thank you all very much for attending.
Okay, thank you all.
Okay.
Bye-bye.